The Chris Simms 2020 All-Pro defensive team, I am guessing, will probably not have a Philadelphia Eagle on it, unfortunately. You've got 2 edge, you got 2 interior defensive linemen. You're sporting 3 linebackers on this team, 2 corners, and a couple safeties. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, that is
Okay.
correct. That's how I did it. Yes.
All
And
right.
I got more names written down. So if you want to ask me like who just missed out, or if you want to add a third corner to the list, I'm cool. I got it ready. I know how my pecking order goes as far as these go, but you want to start with the edge guys first?
Yeah, I'm almost thinking like if you didn't make the team and you're not one of the top 2 edge guys, you don't deserve to be mentioned. But maybe we will still mention them. Yeah, let's start with your 2 edge guys on your Chris Simms 2020 All-Pro team.
Again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes things in life are just obvious. Like sometimes Nike basketball sneakers are just the best, even though they're the most expensive. They're still the best. Sorry. Sometimes it just works like that. Sometimes Coca-Cola is just the best sugar drink you can have. Yeah, it's the richest. It's the best. I think it's the best. I don't know what. Who knows what
Pepsi. I'm
you
more of a
like to drink?
Pepsi
Who
guy.
knows?
Diet Mountain Dew, but we all have our vices.
All right, edge guys. T.J. Watt, Miles Garrett. I'm not. Those are the 2 best edge pass rushers in football. I'm not going to try to sit here and change things up just to be different or anything like that. Miles Garrett is in that conversation for being one of the best defensive players in the sport, and that goes right along with T.J. Watt. You give me, 2 guys to start a defense end, I'm picking those 2.
Pro Football Focus, number 1, Khalil Mack for the 2020 season.
Khalil Mack is awesome football player. I want more. I think I want more of a pass rush presence than what I've seen from Khalil Mack the last 2 years. And I love Khalil Mack. I do. He's better. He's awesome at the run, and maybe better than these 2 guys at the run. And with all due respect, but I don't think he's there on their level as a pass rusher. And to me, I'm going to give that, a few more eggs in that basket than stopping the run.
For TJ Watt, I give him a lot of credit because obviously you're living in the shadow of your brother a little bit, and there were a lot of people that said, TJ can take that next step and be better than JJ, and that doesn't always work out, but he did. He really. I mean, people called it. They said this could happen, and he actually was able to produce the season that put him up there amongst the best. Chris.
Yes, versatile, awesome in the run game. And just a naturally gifted pass rusher. There's no other way to say that. And it's one of those things too where, I think we hit this during the season and Pete looked it up at one point for us that, they play in a 3-4 defense. He drops into coverage a lot, right? And that takes away some pass rushes. But, for me, he was one of those guys, didn't matter what game, you turned it on all year. He had tremendous impact.
Interior defensive line to help out those guys on the edge, control the run game, perhaps. You got 2 of these. One is Aaron Donald. Pete has put that in already. We've already put that in. And the other one is still blank, though. Don't know that one. So, Chris, you're 2 defensive linemen.
Yeah, well, you're right about Aaron Donald. I mean, come on, that's a no-brainer. The other one, I'm going with Chris Jones. Chris Jones will be my all-pro defensive tackle. I know DeForest Buckner had a great year. I want to give a shout-out to Jerron Payne with the Washington football team. Cam Hayward, phenomenal for the Steelers. We know that. You give me 2 interior guys to start my team with right now, from what I saw off of last year, Chris Jones affects the game in too many ways. I don't care what his stats are. He's as disruptive as anybody in the game, not named Aaron Donald. He's second on that list, and it's not far off for as far as pure disruption. It's not. Maybe he doesn't get to the quarterback and get the sacks as much, but he's better and more disruptive in the run game than Aaron Donald. That is for sure. He's phenomenal at batting passes or making quarterbacks have to readjust where they want to throw because he's got a great feel of getting that big arm up in the air. He is a playmaker, and he plays up all over the field. So as much respect as I have for all those guys, to me, man, Chris Jones is one of the under-talked about, like that, under-talked about best players in all of football.
You're infringing on my territory, which I stole from you, so be careful there. But PFF, Pro Football Focus, agrees with you here. We don't like to have that happen too often, but he was the number 2 interior defensive lineman this year,
Was
according to
he?
them. Yep, he was. Aaron Donald, number 1. You're 3 linebackers. You're sporting 3 linebackers, which honestly, if Chris Simms was running a defense, I would not have pegged you as a 3 linebacker guy. I would have think maybe nickel.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't. But maybe with these 3 linebackers, we don't need a nickel because they can play. They can do it all.
All right,
All
let's
right,
hear
my
it.
first one, I'm going with Fred Warner from the 49ers. Fred Warner, sideline to sideline, attacking the ball, pass coverage. He's as good as anybody in the NFL right now. So that, to me, and his fit within that defensive scheme is perfect. He has maybe one weakness, and that's that maybe he's not the biggest thumper in the world, right? But you can't have it all. He's still an amazing football player. Devin White's going to be my next one. Devin White, listen, there are a few plays here and there during the year where you go, ooh, that was a little raw. He took the wrong pursuit angle or went in the wrong gap. Okay, here and there. But the amount of wow plays and what he does for that defense on a weekly basis, I mean, it's off the charts. I mean, you can't run outside against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because Devin White, he's going to run down the running back before they turn the corner. And then, like we talked about with just Fred Warner a second ago, Devin White, there is a little bit more of a thumper to him. So, if you got a fullback or a guard coming at him, he can take it on and get off or at least stalemate you and then make the tackle that way too. Devin White is a phenomenal talent and a guy that never has to come off the field and maybe the most explosive linebacker in all of football, really, when all said and done. And he hasn't even hit the peak of his career yet.
Do you think Devin White would have made your team, though, without his postseason performance? Because he's played really well in the postseason, too. Do you think that helped him?
It might have. You're right.
Yeah.
I thought about that yesterday when I was kind of finishing the team. I was like, am I picking him because I'm a little bit recency biased? Maybe, but I still think it was throughout the year. I just had too many moments where I just went, man, this Devin White, these damn linebackers for the Bucs, he is everywhere. And I think this year, really, he became a little more disciplined and scheme-oriented, too. He's one of the best in the game, no doubt about it.
And your final linebacker?
My last one, I'm going to go a little different here. I mean, this is a guy that I don't even know what the stats are. I'm not sure where he is, and maybe you could look this up, see if it can back me up. Leonard Floyd for the Rams. I'm taking him as my third linebacker. I know he plays a lot of defensive end too. I think he's listed as a linebacker still on their depth chart. That's why I chose him. And I found one here where I went, listen, I like Roquan Smith a lot. I like Eric Kendricks a lot up in Minnesota. Floyd had a very special year. And what they asked him to do, he had a big part in containing the Russell Wilsons and the Kyler Murrays of the world and really slowing them down. So I don't know what his PFF grade is. Maybe you could tell me. But to me, that was one of the best linebackers in football this year.
I'm having trouble finding him because I think they list him as an edge guy. So you did cheat. You did go out. You got a hybrid. You've got 2 linebackers and you have a hybrid. We'll allow that to happen here.
Okay. Yeah. And I legitimately think he is listed on their roster as a linebacker. So I didn't cheat.
So
when they play a 4-3 front, he plays linebacker.
All right. Well, we're gonna allow it either way, and you might be right, but we're gonna allow it. And Pro Football Focus had him ranked 28th among 62 edge players. So we have disagreement here, which I do like. I don't like when you agree with Pro Football Focus too often.
Good. Now things are back to normal again.
Things are back to normal. All right. Your secondary. You got 2 corners. You got 2 safeties. One of your corners is Jalen Ramsey. You've already brought him up 4 times unprompted in this show. So Jalen Ramsey, I'm guessing, is number 1, but I don't know your other one.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey's a superstar. I think you could put Jalen Ramsey, to me, in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year with Aaron Donald. I don't give a damn that they're on the same defense. They're both awesome. They're both a huge part of that defensive success. And man, do they put a lot of pressure on them. And then Jalen Ramsey, not only a great island corner, usually big corners like that can only match up against big receivers. That's not the case. He can guard the little ones. And the thing I love about Jalen Ramsey is the attitude and tackling he brings along with it. It's more than just covering guys. He brings an attitude and some energy and some life to that defense. So I give him a lot of credit there. Marlon Humphrey's the other guy I'm going with. Again, I don't give a damn, what his stats or where he's ranked. I watch him on defense every week, that Ravens defense. Nobody is asked to do more in coverage than Marlon Humphrey in all of the NFL. I mean, they put him on slot receivers, and they don't help him at all. And they go, hey, can you cover this guy that runs 4.3 and as quick as lightning all over the field, and we're not going to help you in any direction possible? I mean, yeah, he's going to give up a few plays, but there's only like 3 or 4 guys in all of football that you can even ask to do that job. And we just got talking about the other one. So he's special. He's a reason they're a top 10 defense. They couldn't even be that defense if they don't have Marlon Humphrey. So, again, that's where, and you can look it up. I don't know where the grades are. I would think his grade is probably a little bit underwhelming for what he's paid and everything on the Ravens because, I mean, there was Revis Island, and Marlon Humphrey's constantly on an island too, and maybe in a harder way than Darrelle Revis ever was.
Yeah, he is 12th according to Pro Football Focus for cornerbacks, but that's why, I mean, it's super difficult, even on the offensive side of the ball, is that it's difficult to parse out what the player's being asked to do, how difficult that is compared to what other players are being asked to do. Defensively, that's super difficult as well because sometimes you're not privy to what scheme they're running, but you've made the case many times. You just made it for Marlon Humphrey. You've made the case for Jamal Adams that his grades will never look as good because of how many things that he's asked to do that other safeties in the league are not asked to do. Is Jamal Adams one of your 2 safeties?
This was a tough one. Like, I went back and forth with this one. And yes, he is one of my safeties. I couldn't not put him on there. And again, I know he messed up some plays early in the year, coverage-wise. And I'm not even talking about the ones where he got beat, like, oh, wow, Julian Edelman beat him 50 yards down the field. All right, it's like we just talked about. I don't know another safety that was asked to cover a guy like Julian Edelman 50 yards down the field all year long. He was put in a lot of tough positions. But the reason the Seahawks defense turned around, and by the end of the year, the last 6-7 games of the year, why they became one of the best defenses in football is because of Jamal Adams and all the different things you can do with him. Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Is he a nickelback? I don't know what the hell he is, but he has an effect on the game, let alone when the ball snapped. I mean, he's got one of the best noses for the ball in all of football. So when I look at that, the attitude in which that defense played, his ability to get after the quarterback and make plays behind the line of scrimmage and everything that way, yes, he's an all-pro safety to me. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. There's no doubt about that. And safety's a tough position this year. I had a hard time figuring out my 2 safeties.
So do you have a free safety to pair up with a strong safety hybrid guy like Jamal Adams? Who's your other guy?
I'm gonna go with Jesse Bates from the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, okay, right?
Yeah. That to me, yeah. I mean, I know we talked about him a little bit during the year, but I don't know. Out of all the guys we've talked about, I think he had the most biggest jump onto the scene. Like, right? Where last year I was like, yeah, this guy's pretty good. And then this year I went, whoa, is he the best safety in football? He is everywhere. I mean, not real big, but tackles with the same aggressiveness and craziness that a Jamal Adams tackles with, or a Budda Baker or anything like that. He's phenomenal there, but it's his range that I think is very special. He is one of the faster safeties in football. And yeah, he can run with receivers and tight ends if he does have to get matched up man-to-man. But, man, in that back end, when he plays center field, I'd argue he covers more ground than anybody in the sport. This was a tough position, but I love Jesse Bates. He was one of my favorite watches all year. And I mean no disrespect to guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick, who I had a hard time leaving off this list. John Johnson for the Rams, I thought about putting on this list. Of course, Honey Badger, Buda Baker, Justin Simmons for the Broncos. They're all pro type talents. But to me, Adams and Bates stand out above the rest this year.
So Jesse Bates in 2019, according to Pro Football Focus, was their 64th ranked safety out of 83. This year, moved all the way up to first. They're in agreement with Chris Simms. Jesse Bates was their number one safety this year. They saw the same jump you did from that guy. So well done.
That Bengals secondary, I would say watch out for them. They got some good players. And yes, good job by both of us there. We were on the same page. But yes, again, it just shows you, hey, there's a lot of good football players on some of these lesser teams in football that we don't even talk about or know about. And Jesse Bates is one of those guys, if you watch the Bengals this year, you kept going, who is this crazy dude flying all over the field, throwing his body around? Oh, that's Jesse Bates. And he stood out in about every game I watched.
Well, and that was one of the things that we talked about with the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, hey, they should be interesting to watch on the offensive side of the ball, but it's going to be fun for other teams when they're on defense. It wasn't that fun. I mean, they really did step up with some of the players up and down the rosters for Cincinnati. It wasn't all just the Joe Burrow show. I thought they made a good jump on the defensive side.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.